Hello! In this video I'm going to try and answer one of the questions I get asked most often in World of Warplanes, which is how do you counter jet fighters when you're in a lower tier prop engine fighter? And while it's not easy, with skillful flying and a bit of luck you can even out the odds, perhaps not to give yourself an advantage, but at least to make yourself a bit of a threat to enemy fighters. You can see in this match, outside has myself and a Hornet and a ground attack aircraft, while the enemy team has a Messerschmitt 262, a tier 8 heavy fighter, a jet heavy fighter of course, and a P-38J, which, well, in this match it's a low tier heavy fighter, but can still be quite dangerous. So what I'm initially doing is I've seen that my friendly aircraft, both of them, have gone hitting ground targets. So I'm initially hanging back and at kind of a medium altitude. Basically what I'm hoping for is that the enemy fighters will dive straight down on our ground attack aircraft and will let me have an altitude advantage on them, so I'll be able to get on their tail and keep up with them for a significant amount of time. I can also see that the enemy P-38J is off hitting ground targets as well, which means that for a little while at least we'll only have to worry about the Messerschmitt 262. You see me, what I'm doing here is I'm zigzagging back and forth behind my allies. It's so that I don't catch up with them and also to give me better vision. However, the enemy 262 was doing a smart thing and came sweeping above my allies to check for players like me first. And I'll just talk through that little engagement there briefly. What happened is I spotted the Messerschmitt 262, I went up, or panned my camera up to lock onto it, and I saw it was coming down at me, so I turned in a direction, basically turned under its nose. That's because aircraft, they don't do negative Gs anywhere near as well as positive Gs, so it's going to be much harder for it to turn in that direction than if I had have gone to my left in that situation. I did, however, also botch the attack slightly in that I didn't turn around as quickly as I could, so I didn't return very effective fire. And now we've spotted the P-38J and I go onto its tail. Basically what I'm thinking now is that the P-38J is the easy kill and we've got to knock one of these fighters out of the game as quickly as we can. So the obvious target's the 38J. But having said that, I don't want to make myself vulnerable for the Messerschmitt 262, so I want to keep my speed up and my altitude in an area that I am good at flying in. I should also mention that while I'm shooting at this P-38J, I'm actually keeping an eye on the minimap and the radar to see where the Messerschmitt 262 is and whether it's coming at me. And I saw it was heading in my direction, so I break off and start dodging. But I see the Messerschmitt 262 is going after my ally, and I probably make a mistake there, but I turn back onto the tail of the P-38J to try and finish it off. I do a fair bit of damage, but, well, my cannons have overheated, and I just can't get them on target very well at all. So that's kind of the other tip I'd like to say, is that use your minimap, use your radar. The radar in particular, it's very useful. You can go turn it on in settings. And basically what it does is it shows you, well, where the enemy aircraft is in relation to your aircraft, and also its heading, which is very useful to know when they're coming in to attack you. So I saw the Messerschmitt 262 was coming in there, and I'd turn around and try and put a bit of fire in, but unfortunately I missed. So I turn back on the P-38J, I dodge its attack for the most part, turn around on its tail, but again I didn't time that turn very well, so I was at very long range and it's able to turn away from me. What I do now is I go into these clouds to try and break contact with them, and I drop altitude because although I was at an altitude where I performed better, well, that was kind of my best altitude for turning and the what, whereas if I go down I'm going to lose maneuverability performance. I know that they'll lose their performance quicker or more so than I will, so I want to bring them down as low as I can. But I've realised neither of those fighters have come in to attack me, so I figure they must be going after our friendly IL-8. Turns out I was mistaken. I take a bit of damage because I wasn't expecting that attack, and it did come straight out of the clouds. I'm able to turn a little bit better than last two times there, and I get a bit of damage on the Messerschmitt 262 as it flies away. I should also mention my ammunition choice. I've gone with high explosive incendiary, I believe it is, and that's because it gives very good damage output at all ranges, so it's still effective at countering long range attacks like that one. I don't turn on the P38J because I see the Messerschmitt 262s coming in at me, and then I realise I don't have shots on either of them. I hesitated too long to see if I had shots on the 38J to get any fire into the Messerschmitt 262. So basically I'm just going to have to hang out here at this altitude and wait for them to attack next. Like, I can't catch the Messerschmitt 262 in level fight, I probably can't even catch the 38J in airspeed, all things being even, and I would be foolish to climb up after either of them while the other one is there ready to pounce on me if I stall. So I just have to sit and wait and dodge and counterattack. And here comes the 262. I start dodging, but unfortunately the 38J also comes at the same time, so I take a lot of damage, mostly from the 38J. But I'm finally able to time my turn very well and start getting fire into the Messerschmitt 262 at 300 meters range. And it doesn't quite have the speed to get out of my fire range quickly, so the pilot of it turns in to try and... I'm not really sure. But it starts turning, which is a bit of a mistake, but I capitalise on it and take away about half its hit points before it gets out of my firing range. And I've also set it on fire. So now the 38J, it's also on very low health. And it's not coming at me, it's flying above me. Not entirely sure why. Oh, here it comes. Rolled over. Again, I turn to the left this time to try and get to pull negative Gs. And I do so well that it doesn't actually fire at me. Oh, and I killed the Messerschmitt 262. Turns out it doesn't have a fire extinguisher. So 38J kind of aborted that attack, and I'm able to pitch up and put a few shots in. And here is where I make my first really significant mistake of the game. I set on very low hit points and decide I can go head on with it and win. But it turns out I can't. And just to make things even worse, I see that it's got 7 hit points remaining, which, if you're paying attention, that is 2 cannon shells. If I'd have got 2 more shots on the target, I would have won that head-on engagement. But to be honest, it was foolish. I shouldn't have, it was one more counter-attack and I would have had them anyway. And I kind of needed those hit points to fight the enemy IL-8, which was the next thing coming up. By the way, I had 1 point, so I could have conceivably not fought the IL-8. But anyway, those are kind of my tips for fighting jet fighters. It's going to keep your speed up. Don't chase up after them, at least not to the point where you start running the risk of stalling. Try and keep the altitude in your area where you perform well. And then it's just use your radar, use your minimap to spot when they're coming in, dodge in a way that forces them to pull negative Gs, and just practice getting your turns so you'll get on their tail as quickly as you can. Also use your radar to see which direction they're breaking contact with you from, and kill them. Anyway, I hope this has been useful, and I'll see you all next time.